Video editing can be a great skill to learn, especially if you want to make cuts and add audio and visual effects in order to make a video more enjoyable and eventually render out and to post online. In this video, I'm going to specifically be using Sony Vegas to edit a Call of Duty montage. Any tools used in this video can be applied to any type of video, really. Hello, my name is Mason Lee, and today I'm going to demonstrate how I learned video editing through YouTube. So first things first, we need a software. We're going to look up best editing softwares, and you're going to come up with a bunch of different videos basically sharing a lot of the same softwares. So you kind of know like the top 5 is the top 5. See, here's Premiere Pro again. Here is iMovie. This is actually the first software I attempted to use on the iPhone. It's super simple and good for splitting and deleting and speeding up, slowing down, adding music. Very limited on filters and effects, so just overall super limited. And then I came across this video talking about Sony Vegas Pro. Apparently this is one of the oldest softwares out there, and it says best for intermediates. So that's exactly what we have here in the background. This is our blank canvas of Sony Vegas. Now that we got the software, let's actually learn how to edit. I found this video by Think Media, Beginner's Guide to Video Editing, and he talks about setting things up for your edit and the importance of getting organized. So I got all of my clips that I want to use for my project in one single folder. Then he talks about splitting up the clips. So first thing we want to do is drag some clips onto our canvas. It's going to come up with this. Do you want to set your project video settings to match this media? Yes. All that means is that our settings on our entire project are going to match our initial video. But we're going to change those settings later at the end anyways. In this video, he's using an editing software called Camtasia. You can use Command T on the Mac as a shortcut to split the clips. Sony Vegas, however, S will split the clip. And now I can drag separately the same clip. 2 different sections of it. Don't need this beginning part, so I'm going to delete that. Drag this over to the beginning. Okay, now that we know the basics of splicing up the clips, how do we actually add music and make an enjoyable video out of it? So I found Sprat's video on how to make a montage, and the first thing he does is add his music and add markers to beats in the song where he wants the shots to be synced up with. So I'm gonna get my music. Okay, I just dragged my music onto the timeline, but I want to make a separate track just for audio. So we're gonna right click this track, insert audio track, or I could have just done Control Q. And now I'm going to add markers on my music. So let's go ahead and mute the audio from the clips just to hear the music and to add markers. So the first thing Sprat does after putting in his first clip is to disable resample on every clip. So we have to right click a clip, go to switches, and disable resample. We want to do that for all of our clips. Select it, right click, switches, disable resample. What resample does is add this like ghosty motion blur looking effect, and it's very noticeable when you slow down the clip after it renders out. Just overall looks bad, and you just want it disabled. So what Sprat does next is go through each shot in the clip and he trims it up exactly when he shoots the very first frame after the bullet comes out. So right there, I'm gonna press S to split. I'm gonna go to the next shot. Right up there, S to split, next shot. S to split, and next shot right there, S to split, next shot up here, S to split, next shot right here, S to split, next shot, S to split, and S shot. Next clip, or so we do this later. Now what I want to do is sync up the shots to my markers. So if this is the first shot, I want this first shot to land on this first marker. So what I'm going to do actually is from the beginning, snap it to the end, and we're just going to drag out that part of the clip. And that first shot is synced up. Second shot looks like it's going to sync up almost perfectly with the third marker. And what Sprat does, his technique to sync the clips is called split and stretch. So what he does is he'll trim the video about here-ish, and he's going to control and hold and drag this part of the video. Now it says that the video is 97.6 of 100%, so it's going a little bit slower, so the clip lasts slightly longer to sync up with our third marker. But what happens when you slow it down, the audio starts to sound all jaggedy. So what you got to do is right click on the audio, go to properties, and check the box pitch change, lock to stretch. Okay, and it's going to sound better. And we just have to do that for the rest of the shots. Alright, let's apply the split and stretch technique for this clip here. One final first shot. One final shot actually. Split right there. Next shot. Split there. Next shot. Split there. Next shot. Split there. And last shot. Split there. And we want first shot to line 16. And let's see how that looks if it's synced up nicely. Alright, it looks like it did sync up where my markers were. Alright, the next thing Sprat talks about is adding pumps to your clips that add a little bit more movement within each clip. So I'm going to go to my video track, go to the more options, and click on track motion. So for each marker we placed, we want to also add a pump effect. So I'm going to add a keyframe onto this timeline. This box represents our media box. Right, so we want to add keyframes, and we want to go back 2 frames, add a default keyframe marker here. Click on this one that we want to make our pump. I'm going to add a pump. So all this did is slightly zoom in and slightly rotate. And I'm going to do that for each marker. And just keep the first one down to default, and the second one I'm going to rotate the other direction. So it's default, so the other way. So we finish up doing that for all these. Alright, now I added all the keyframes on my markers. Let's go ahead and watch it from the beginning. Alright, so as you can see, the video, it's bouncing around more with the music. It's a lot more motion with the whole video. It's not just syncing up on the shots. And then the next thing Sprat talks about is adding levels and flashes to your video. So again, on the markers, instead of track motion, we want to do track effects, and then we're going to click on levels. Okay. And here we're only dealing with output end. So I'm going to make an animated timeline for this. And again, we're going to do keyframes on all of our markers. So this is our default, 2 frames behind. And we want to make it slightly darker. This is going to make our pumps really stand out more. So let me go ahead and finish doing all this for each marker. As you can see, the pumps seem to definitely pop more because I'm making it darker and brighter along with the pumps. Another thing Sprat mentions is to add color corrections. So I can add a color corrector here, and whatever I'm feeling for the mood of this project, if I feel it should be a little warmer, a little colder. And another thing Sprat talks about is color curves. I want to add color curves, and then I want to adjust the brights to be slightly brighter, and also the darks to be slightly darker. So this is how our project looks with our effects after syncing our clips using the split and stretch technique. So what this video is really missing is just having flow to it. As you can see, when we try to sync up our clips, we have normal speed 100%, and then we go down to 50% for a long time in order to sync up the next shot. Over here we go to 33% and then back to normal speed. Here we have 68% normal speed, 50% normal speed, 65% normal speed. So it kind of keeps jumping back and forth between normal speed and slowing down. So how can we make this smoother? And that's where I learned velocity. Found this video by Mods, how to edit a montage in Sony Vegas velocity tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and resync the same clips, the same markers, use velocity instead of split and stretch. Let's add our clips back, make sure we disable resample. Okay, this time instead of splitting before each shot, we want to just keep segments of the video we want to actually show. And this is where velocity comes in. Right click, insert envelopes, add velocity. Now this little green line represents our velocity at 100%, so regular speed. Now what we want to do is manipulate our velocity line to accelerate and decelerate our video to sync up with our markers. And what we're going to do is speed up and slow down the clip to match with the song. So we want to speed up on the markers and slow down between the markers. So I'm going to add a keyframe here. I'm going to set it to 300. Since 300 is very fast, I want to have it slow fade up to it so it spends more time being slower than it does being faster. It's down to 20% being very slow because we want this to be very dramatic and very noticeable that I'm using this velocity. And what I found is about 300% to 20% to 300 again averages out to about 1 time speed overall. So that's kind of what I try to stick to here. So here's some speed up with the pump and the beat. We don't actually want to shot there. That's fade down, slow fade up. Here is where we want the shots actually. So we're going to take a box and actually drag it down slightly just before I take a shot. So that's like 4 right there is perfect. I'm going to keep these all at 300 though. Boom, boom. In the middle, put all these down to 20. That's fade. Alright, now let's see how it looks after readjusting. Yeah, so that's much nicer synced up compared to our split and stretch. Okay, now we want to get rid of our split and stretch, and let's see how much better it looks with all of the effects on top. Alright, after you're done editing your project, you're going to want to render it out to whatever platform you want to put it on. So this video, he's specifically rendering for Twitter, and Twitter is very picky about their videos. They need a certain length, a certain size, certain frame rate, certain bit rate. So you're going to have to go into your settings and do all that and pretty much just follow what the video says. For each platform specifically, this is something you really only need to do once. Alright, so this is my full finished project. It's only up to about 3 minutes. I was planning to go even further with all my markers I already made, but it took so long for me to learn velocity, and it's really just about practice. Like my first few clips took half an hour just trying to learn velocity and get it down, and I could just feel myself getting better and more efficient, just faster at doing all my curves throughout. It's important to look at your whole project as a whole project instead of just going clip by clip. See, here I have segments for cinematics, and I go by the whole song and go each section is going to be a clip section or cinematic section or whatever. Sync it all up first to the very end, and then at the very end is when you want to add all your pumps and effects and color corrections and everything else. It definitely improved my overall quality of life, and I can confidently say that this will continue to be a hobby in my future. The editing process can be very therapeutic and can even bring out your creative side with the adding effects and such. And for people who become exceptionally good at it, you can even make lots of money with commissions projects from other people. And then, when you're finished with everything, it might look something like this. Alright, and that is how I learned to video edit through YouTube. I'm going to put a link to all of these videos down in the description below. If you want to go watch the full thing, go check them out. And yeah, thanks for watching, and happy editing.